I wish to speak to you briefly about a very sensitive, but what I consider to be a serious and most important subject for all of us to consider, particularly during this extraordinary Jubilee year of mercy. Every day, we see in the Church's ministries the terrible harm and the terrible harmful effects that pornography has on not just men and women, but also on children. It interrupts family life. It undermines personal self-worth, and it affects all in society to such a degree that it has become, in some estimations by experts, a national health crisis. Pornography destroys a person's legitimate self-worth. It destroys the marital relationship which God created for a man and a woman to help them both grow in holiness together and to help their children to do the same. It affects the lives of children so that they do not grow up with a healthy and a wholesome understanding of their own human sexuality as given to them as a gift by God to be used for their own holiness and sanctification of life. But as you will see in this video, there is great hope. And there is the Catholic Church and its ministry and its sacramental life, which can give to you all that you need to combat this terrible evil which is growing by the day in our society and in our culture.
"68% of men and 18% of women use porn at least once every week. 51% of male and 32% of female students first viewed porn before their teenage years. 56% of divorce cases in the United States involve one party having an obsessive interest in pornographic websites. To Bruce and Jeannie Hahnemann, those statistics have faces, beginning with their own.
My personal struggle with pornography began at the age of 9 years old. What happened with me was a conflicting series of emotions. There was the shame and the guilt that I was looking at something that wasn't meant for my eyes, and at the same time an allure and attraction that I didn't know how to process or how to explain. What I thought, though, as I grew up, was that marriage would solve all this, because in a marriage relationship you have intimacy and the porn would go away.
Very soon after our marriage, we discovered that wasn't going to be the situation. We began immediately to do different kinds of therapy, any programs or resources that were available, but none of them really seemed to solve the problem.
All of the programs were designed around the concept of being restrained, me being able to restrain myself from the pornography. And all the messages I heard kept repeating, once an addict, always an addict, which filled me with so much despair and hopelessness that I was contemplating suicide.
And at that point, I was starting to reach the need for divorce, because I couldn't perceive my entire life being filled with this problem and this issue. And I kept wondering what was wrong with me, and I just reached that despair. And at that point, I think it shook us both that suicide and divorce wasn't going to be our answer. And we just pulled together as hard as we could. And at that moment, God intervened in our lives with the most amazing grace.
And what we found out is that restraining just doesn't work.
And we found the most remarkable program that was able to be an online program for Bruce.
Brain science has shown us, through the concept of what's called neuroplasticity, what we need to do with our brains is to actually retrain them and take a totally different path, create a totally different pathway in our mind and our brain about what our sexuality means and how we express it. once an addict, always an addict was no more hanging over my head, but now I was able to experience the full healing that Jesus Christ intended for me. There is a continuum of care that you have available to you, of which part of is this anonymous online recovery program. Please get the help you need and change your life.
The Reclaim Sexual Health online recovery program and supportive resources demonstrates the beautiful harmony that exists between recent discoveries in brain science, psychology, addiction recovery, and what the Church has taught for centuries about sexuality. With an imprimatur in the light of faith, the Reclaim Online Recovery Program brings participants an opportunity to reclaim God's plan for their lives. Using a computer, tablet, or cell phone, each individual receives the ongoing daily training and tracking they need to increase and sustain long-term change. Reclaim offers each member a personal coach and an online anonymous community forum to experience the full support of their faith in recovery efforts. Reclaim is a powerful online resource designed to help struggling individuals integrate faith and recovery. Reclaim Sexual Health offers a continuum of care to those in need across the world to experience Christ's healing and success. No testing has overtaken you that is not common to everyone. God is faithful, and He will not let you be tested beyond your strength. But with the testing, He will also provide the way out so that you may be able to endure it.
And finally, during this great Jubilee year of mercy, our Holy Father Pope Francis has given to all of us a tremendous gift by asking every bishop across the entire world to set aside what he calls 24 hours of mercy in order to fulfill what our Holy Father has asked. I have decided that on Friday, March 4th, beginning at 5 p.m. at the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit in Bismarck, we will have the 24 hours of mercy, which will be available to anyone who comes through Saturday, March 5th at 5 p.m. I have asked the priests of our area in their great love and generosity to assist us in being available for confessions during this entire period of time. Come to confession. Allow the Lord to embrace you and forgive you and give you His grace to be strong in your faith, your hope, your charity, and in doing so, to set the good example for others, whether they be your husband or wife, your children, your brothers and sisters, your neighbors.